artificial intelligence.
AI is a foundational technology.
AI has existed for a very, very long time.
Do they actually understand AI?
From my POV,
What's the most pleasantly surprising thing that you have heard about how they think about AI?
the southern states have been
Are they still focused on the generative AIs, or are they already talking about AI agents and agentic AI? If you were to pick one exemplar state, like Sharma ji ka beta, which one would you pick?
the state which has really been under my radar from quite a long was
What is India doing differently on AI governance?
we have picked a very when it comes to artificial intelligence.
After the Claude Mythos discussion and Nirmala Sitharaman's meeting, how is India preparing its public sector systems to defend against Mythos level attacks?
The finance ministry's request for early access was
Wait, who is this guy? Is he an insider decoding AI for the Indian government? Parishrut Jassal is the founder and CEO at Govt AI. He has trained the Indian state government officials on AI from Himachal Pradesh to Tamil Nadu. He is a TEDx speaker and an empaneled working group member on AI and digital governance for the government of Himachal Pradesh. Let's find out Parishrut's real learnings from training India's government officials on AI. Hello and welcome to On Air with Ashka. Welcome to the show, Parishrut. Finally, we are here. Thank you so much for joining us today. Yeah. So let's dive right into the questions. You have trained the Indian state government officials on AI from Himachal Pradesh to Tamil Nadu. Do they actually understand AI, or is responsible AI really those nice sounding phrases that everyone likes to use but without deeply understanding the responsibility behind it?
thank you so much for your question. I think from my POV, when I started this intervention and going state to state and started engagement with the stakeholders, right stakeholders, for I can get my share of contribution to the public sector from the responsible AI point of view. So I believe that the understanding and the kind of engagement we used to have in the initial phase has tremendously changed now. So like earlier, it used to be artificial intelligence. So it would always be ChatGPT or any other synonym or any other familiar word they can understand. Few of them were able to question me like, okay, oh, that cleaning robot also has AI. So is that also ChatGPT? And some kind of like that. It's very innocent but genuine question, genuine curiosity, I would say. And then now onwards, now how I see that like even our sessions have also increased. Earlier, we used to cover like from the perspective of like how the artificial intelligence has evolved to what we see as of now, like starting from the back year of 1956 and how the term coined and how certain like industry sectors were like affected by it earlier. But now if I see regular words like responsible AI, regular words, regular use of words like hallucination, biasness, I think mostly they can do understand what it what is the connotation of the word from like what it in generic like day-to-day life what it means. But now they are able to bring it into the picture, bring it into the interplay when we are having a conversation about, okay, if AI can be solution for any public sector problem at the end of the day. So from that point of view, I would say, and if I have to really see from my experience with different state governments, it's not much, but as much as we have been able to garner, I would say that it depends upon the department, irrespective of the state.
Huh.
Yes, beginning as you would say, like in all the conferences we used to like catch up earlier, like 2 years back or 1 year back, we would see that even in the central government lens, the MIT had a better understanding with respect to AI governance, other than like any other like line of government, and their address of the problem used to be reactive, I would say, because like if if any AI model or LLM model is create a chaos or being menace to the society, then accordingly such solutions were taken into considerations. But now I would say that even at the central government, we can see different line of ministries have really revamped their stuff, revamped their policies with respect to artificial intelligence. Uh, in the same way, in the state governments, I would say in in a department, the top bureaucrats, level 3 bureaucrats, as per the competency framework layout by me itself, I would say they have a better understanding with respect to how sensitive artificial intelligence is and how carefully we have to be with it. And then they have catched up with the jargons, I would say, also the important keywords, because through that only you can really tap into the problems and understand and bring into the other stakeholders from the technical side or from the side or from the policy side, right? So but in the same department, I would say the fresh officers who are young, who have just joined, or who are mid-serving officers, they are still having a hard time to understand.
Understand.
Yeah, because there are other crucial and time sensitive issues they have been addressing in different.
Tackling, and yeah, of course, at the end of the day, they are policymakers or
Yes.
non-technical people trying
Yeah.
to catch up with the tech. So of course it makes sense.
Yeah. So I would say,
yeah.
on a concluding note, that the IT department at each and every state have been to they have well revamped and in well consideration of the pros and cons of artificial intelligence adoption, and what kind of solutions it can bring to the public sector, public service delivery. And from the capacity angle, I would say they do understand. That's why we keep on engaging with them, because they see the need of keep the officers trained or revamped about it. But other than that, now I see a trend of you can say a ripple effect, because all the departments are feeling like we should also know about it and from the right people. And, that's why we need more of the interventions, more of the contributions from the public and private partnerships with respect to that.
Yeah, that's good. You spoke about the evolution in their understandings. Tell us deeply about a specific conversation. Like when you speak with the IT department, let's say, for example, for about a specific problem, what is the starting point like? Like, let's use AI to solve this, or can AI actually help us solve this? Like, what's the starting point like?
I mean, as I can share this thing from my lens, initially the conversation used to be, okay, gentlemen, you can just tell us about what the technology can do to fix some obstacles we are facing. I used to walk them through, and they used to be really excited about it, but they really wanted to wrap their head around other components with respect to adoption of artificial intelligence, right? And they were like, okay, what kind of budgets we have to see? Is it would it work, or is it any other technology solution which is coming into the market? I was like, yeah, guys, I don't know if it is a technology solution, but I think I can bet on if we really unpack it and see where we can and we can use it and up to what extent. But now the conversations have really paced. Now they directly comes to, okay, the tenets of responsible AI, how this solution will map out, and what kind of stakeholders we have to really engage. And I'm impressed, and it's a bit of excitement also to look forward to such conversations, and where I can contribute.
Yes.
So I believe that that's the shift I have seen.
That's nice. So, what's the most pleasantly surprising thing that you have heard about how they think about AI recently?
So, very recently, so the most pleasant thing I saw is that when I, in one of our sessions, and then in one of our meetings, with respect to the problems which we were just brainstorming in a couple of states, they were really surprised to see the kind of data presentation we were able to do. And that was that was only possible because of I'm not a big on using Power BI tool or any other tool. Kind of visuals or kind of like ideas you get from the existing open source materials. Experts in Power BI has used it and how they have uh, extrapolated the data and presented it, right?
Mhm.
In the same manner, we have used like the data. Uh, it's a simulator, basically.
Warehouse or anything? Okay.
Exactly. So how
Uh-huh.
you can
Huh.
um, how you can present a scenario.
Visualize.
Yeah, and they can
Huh.
see who will be the people who will be impacted, which sector of the society will be impacted, what are the resources we are dealing with, and they can watch it at play. Maybe that's randomization, or maybe if we can put certain guardrails to it, and it will outplay or present the outcome in a span of like a month or so, with certain resources, with certain purpose. And they were like, that's really interesting. And they were really able to like, uh, in the small frame of time, come to a better judgment or better engagement with the solution or with the problem at hand, right? And it saves time. And the best part is it's not even about time. They are ready to give us time to like engage with private sector players and to engage
Mhm.
with solutions which the private sector or AI companies in India are bringing to their doorsteps. But
Hmm.
they can really see
Hmm.
the efficiency or how well they are able to grasp the solution or the harms it can bring. So I think that was very shocking for them. So they were like, how you can do it, do you know how to code or something like? Yeah.
Yeah, you have now Claude Code, so use it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go little deeper. So like when states or state officials talk about AI, are they still focused on the generative AIs, or are they already talking about AI agents and agentic AI?
I would say agentic AI, they're excited about it because they can understand, right? And as far as the adoption is concerned, agentic AI systems at a very experimental level, I would say.
Yes, of course. Yeah.
And other than that, the basic to have the readiness at their respective departments with respect to agentic AI also, they are excited for that, and they are keen to adopt it, but obviously with a certain precaution and like sense of understanding what kind of like strength we have of the officers who will be engaged in that, who will be responsible for what role, and have the knowledge base and competencies to understand if things are
Mm.
not looking like okay on screen, or maybe on the back end, right? So even in the IT teams, I've seen that they are more keen, and they have been engaging with different stakeholders from different organizations, and they really would want to put it on the map for them to make a better decision, sound decision. But as far as the basic adoption, I would say at the interpersonal level, it's how easier. Yeah, but to majorly call it as a AI solution which any of the organization has adopted, there are a couple of, but we still have to see the right outputs which we have like laid out, if it is
Hmm.
bringing is like
Yeah.
able to cater
Yeah.
to that.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense, makes sense. So you spoke a little bit about roles. Do all the IT departments in state governments have a chief AI officer role yet, or have they appointed it yet, or like are they in the process of, or where are they?
The nomenclature might not be there, but they have the nodal
Okay.
person assigned already.
Okay, 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 okay. Got
They
it.
have the nodal persons who have
Okay.
the certain understandings, and they are the people who keep on engaging with us also, and they keep track with what is happening, for what the next meeting has to be, because that there should be a bridge, and
Yeah.
the bridge
Yes.
uh, even with interdepartmental stuff, right? Because the IT department has to be the backbone of all the department at the end of the day,
Yes. 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 Yeah. Yeah.
because you
Yeah.
can't like outsource outrightly.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense, makes sense. So let's come to Claude Mythos. So after the Claude Mythos discussion and Nirmala Sitharaman's meeting, How is India preparing its public sector systems to defend against Mythos level attacks? Do you
I
have
think,
any insight
uh,
into that?
but I think I would want to put it in a in a perspective
Okay.
that we see the capability of the Mythos model, right? So it's not about like, okay, we have to save ourselves from it, right? Uh, Even the finance ministry's request for the early access was from the
Hmm.
point of view that we would want to know at what level
Yes,
the threat
exactly. Yeah.
is, and at what level the competition level is, because we have already seen that with other LLM models which are open source and which you can use it at your disposal and like see how what you can uh, do with it, have a eureka uh, for whatever, right? But with this methods, I would say that it's more or less preparedness. I would say the Anthropic won't agree with us, right? Because they
Uh,
are no one is prepared as
uh-huh.
everyone should be.
Yeah,
But I
so
would
did we get early access or not? Like, do
uh,
that?
I have to check for it.
Because
I'm not
under
sure. I didn't
Project
follow up on
Glasswing,
that. Bold.
yeah, it's
But I
okay,
would say that
okay.
even if we do get the access, it it it's not the main focal point. I would say it's a perspective of the mythos, even if it is that harmful. But at the same time, it can detect vulnerabilities in any systems, right? And it
Yes.
has the computational powerful
Hmm.
abilities. If
Hmm.
I have to simplify,
Hmm.
then we have to see from the tangent or from the aspect the autonomy these kind of models when if they are built in an agentic AI system or for any other purpose or in any framework, we have to really see how we can contain it at the end of the day, right? So I think Anthropic has also gone with their I'm just I'm forgetting from top of my head the name.
Project Glasswing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
yeah.
have been Mhm. The flag bearers, I would say, for AI safety, and they have walked the path as of now, and the project holds the same promises. And we have to see
Mhm.
like how we can really make that instrumental and understand what Mythos really is all about.
Yeah, yeah. So currently, what Dario Amadai has been saying is like under Project Glasswing, small number of companies have gotten access to Claude Mythos, and then they are like the cybersecurity experts, engineers. They are using Mythos to detect the vulnerabilities and also to make the systems more secure and robust. So that is why I wanted to know, like, did we receive access to that or not? Like, okay.
No, not of my knowledge.
Okay.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
but
No
I'll apply
worries.
the prize if I got.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So let's move on to the next question. Which Indian state do you think is leading on AI adoption today? Explain any specifics you can.
I think there are a couple of states which are doing surprisingly well, I would say,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because if I really track down AI governance journey of India, uh, we have been making decisions at the right time about right things, and we came a long way. And for the states, mostly the southern states have been up to their game. They understand, and the kind of adoptions and the kind of resources uh, is required to actually make AI functional to solve problems of the society at the end of the day, right? And they have been, I would say, prepared for it. I must say that
Okay.
because as you must have like followed up, like couple of ministries in the south have like dedicated now they have a dedicated like AI ministry. uh,
Mhm.
Earlier few of the states have AI policy documents readily to guide them, so you can see the even the chronology. If we follow up, first we have the policy which has to be in the place because we have to map out all the people are concerned. Then only we have to bring the central nodal agency at the state level who will be looking after, who will be thinking from the angle of compliance, liabilities,
Mhm.
and solutions, budget allocations, and the functioning of it. Right. So I think the portfolio, if it is dedicated to a certain level, because you the way you ask, like if the importance of an AI officer at
Hmm.
even at a department level plays a
Mhm.
major role. In the same way, I would say that the southern states, are trudging towards a promised path by like having a dedicated ministries. But I would say that even in the northern India, the
Hmm.
states are following up. Many of
Hmm.
the states also do have the AI policy,
Mhm.
but we have to see if we can have a dedicated AI, wing in the at the ministry level. And apart from that, I would say the better thing is which will be one of the parameters to assess, to answer your question, what kind of engagements we have from the people, from the public side, from the private sectors, the tech companies of the India, and from the regulatory bodies, which how well they are uh, how well their input is taken into consideration. I think like we can see the sectoral regulations are already floating around, and it's high time now. And I look forward with the same excitement with to that.
Mhm. So you mentioned the southern states in terms of AI governance, right? So is like are they also ahead in terms of AI adoption?
I think for the AI adoption, I would say that even
Mhm.
Maharashtra came up
Hmm.
very
Mhm.
long ago, like
Mhm.
with their
They were the torch bearers.
Um, I would say that they were torchbearers when the time was for their decision, right?
Ah,
Uh,
okay,
right,
makes
and
sense.
I
Yeah.
would say that's
Hmm.
what the beauty of the Indian AI governance landscape. Like each and every stakeholder which is engaged, they have been taking the decisions in a very timely manner, and we see certain disturbance in the social milieu, but that has been catered and contained, and certain guardrails has been placed with respect to that. But if I have to say, even in the case of Maharashtra, I was stating that agriculture sector
Hmm.
is something which is a good example of how from the IT department, the brainstorming or discussions about artificial intelligence has moved to a
Mhm.
different, altogether
Sector.
different ministry sector, right?
Uh-huh.
And
Yeah.
with respect to Tamil Nadu and Kerala, I would say they have the dedicated AI ministries now, and
Mhm.
that's a good
Mhm.
worth appreciating step.
Hmm.
And and other than that, the other state governments in the southern, uh, they are already ahead of the game. They have right investment in town. They have right players already engaged. They have right conversation in the right rooms. So I think we have a lot to learn. And
Mhm.
the rest of the India is really catching up. And we have to see where the North India altogether, from the west to the east, has to engage from the same uh, intensity and interest, I would say.
So if you were to pick one exemplar state, like as Sharma ji ka beta, which one would you pick?
Uh, I, I think the
And
connotation of.
also mention the reasons like behind
Oh
it,
yeah,
like okay,
definitely.
these are the good stuff. Yeah, yeah.
I'll reason with my
Mhm.
judgments.
Okay.
So
Yeah, yeah. It's your
yeah,
judgment.
so I would say that the
Mhm.
connotation of anyone being the top of
Mhm.
their class or top of
Mhm.
their uh, you know work process and
Mhm.
workflows,
Mhm.
the state which has really been under my radar from quite a long
Mhm.
was Tamil Nadu.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I have been specifically because of the IIT Madras, and even a lot of developments I have seen how Siraya has done a lot of uh, contribution to the Indian AI governance landscape, not only limited
Yes.
to
Yeah.
any specific state.
Mhm.
So to let educational institution which falls under
Mhm.
RHEIs
Mhm.
sprout to a level
Mhm.
and having the right access to the resources and engagements,
Mhm.
uh, and giving time to it. So I think they have really been under my radar so far. And but it's a competitive landscape.
Mhm. Yeah.
I
An
believe,
evolving one. Yeah.
yeah, any Indian family's son or daughter has to be up their game, even if they get into IITs or IIMs. I think they have to be on top of
Yeah.
the game if they are a civil servant, and they have to
Mm-hmm.
top of the game in any
Mm-hmm.
walk of life, I would say.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the journey is long, I would say. Let's see who keeps
Yes.
up with the promises.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So let's get into coordination in terms of state governments. So are Indian states coordinating in terms of AI adoption or governance? And if yes, then how is it actually happening?
I would want to walk you through this way at a very milestone mapping of this,
Hmm.
because when if I see myself when I have ventured into this field and how I have like
Hmm.
tried to wrap my head around what is
Hmm.
happening and how public sector bodies
Hmm.
can really adopt and like make sound decisions and bring solutions to the public at the end of the day, you really bank on the other stakeholders also who are engaged, right? So because it's not a one person journey or a one entity journey, right? It's a collaborative effort where we have to come forward and really put India at the face of global south at first, with respect to artificial intelligence regulations and compliance and adoption.
Yeah.
I would interdepartmental meetings happen, right? And they have been channelized through the state government,
Okay.
right? But the mandate of these meetings are restricted to the state level agendas,
Oh, okay.
right?
Yeah.
But from the central government's POV, I
Hmm.
would say that all the apex officers, there are different nomenclatures varied by the state government, be it a chief secretary or be it any other officer representing the state. They have been in engagement since 2024, and they have their own internal meetings, and they have the right discussions to set the right tone for their respective state and
Hmm.
collaboratively for the India altogether, right? uh, and at the union level, as I have discussed, that if they are able to facilitate certain conversations from the representative of all the states, we see a wave of same adoption of a systematic engagement at the state level also at the end of the day, right? And the central government has never shied away from putting right information, right guidelines, right voice to issues, and that has been the guiding light for all the states, I would say. So uh, I think
That's how coordination is happening right
yes,
now.
has been happening.
Hmm. Got it. Got it. So, like for coordination, there's no place where they can share their learnings. Like, okay, once state government has deployed something in public sector AI and it hasn't worked out, and they have documented their learnings for other states to learn from and then develop on top of that. Like, is there any such
No,
system?
no, there's a platform. I think
Uh,
India's website
okay.
has been very,
Okay.
very actively putting
Okay.
on.
That is the central repository for. Okay. Got
And
it.
now for other
Hmm.
aspects of like really when you are not even
Hmm.
being an observer to the Indian AI governance landscape or AI landscape at large, I would say that AI has been addressed through India AI mission altogether.
Yes. Yeah.
Has done a tremendously good job.
Hmm.
Uh, and because if you really see, at the end of the day, all the we as a company
Hmm.
have been catering and addressing to the capacity building or the literacy front as of now.
Hmm.
And with our engagement with the public sector, we have seen now the conversation has moved from what AI is to how to procure it, right? And they are these are the right questions to ask. And I would say that has only happened if India Mission has has furnished the right amount of information, which has been reaching to the right set of people who were interested, their vested interests were there, and who are wanted to join India in this journey of artificial intelligence.
Hmm.
Otherwise, the Indian landscape is very
Hmm.
big. We have a different
Hmm.
set of
Yeah. Yeah.
opportunities and resources and
Hmm.
positions to really look forward to. But artificial intelligence has been addressed through India AI mission very aptly. AI Kosh is one of the recent example of that, because if you can have the access to through the GPUs which the government has been offering, if you can have that access at a very nominal rate.
Yeah.
Like that's brilliant, because earlier India had this infrastructure, but it was only limited to a few of the key eminent technology and other educational institutions in India. But now it's out here. It's out there, accessible to the young generation who are built for India and who are deploying in India.
Yeah, yeah, makes sense. So you spoke about procurement. So let's talk about that. When government agencies in India implement AI, how do they usually approach model acquisition? Do they primarily procure frontier models like GPT or Claude, or are they now looking toward Indian models as well?
I think Sarvam is a good example of this. Like, yes, Sarvam has made. I have followed them since they have, like,
Inception.
started their journey, and even I had my own, like, reservations about to showcase Sarvam at one of my or few of my workshops at the initial level. But now I have, like, seen the response from people, how well the Indian models have been doing, and that has
Yeah.
been only possible because the option or the procurement or even making the right space for an entity to flourish happens. Because as I said, like, it's a long journey, and we have started on this voyage, and let's see where we get into that.
Yeah. So, is there a preference for open source models or closed source models, or is it a mix like when it comes to public sector AI?
With respect to public sector, as far as the
Hmm.
brainstorming is concerned, or
Hmm.
at a very experimental level,
POC level, or yeah.
yeah, open source models are very, very, like,
Hmm.
resource efficient, I would say. But as we are to scale, we have to bring certain guardrails and certain decisions with respect to adoption of artificial intelligence, and that's a narrow lane we have to
Hmm.
navigate.
Hmm. 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 So, are there any AI sandboxes where public sector AI can be tested before deployment? And if yes, how mature is it?
This is very good. That's a very good question. I would say
Hmm.
a sandbox or a framework or a scenario where you can really see at what scale we can deploy this artificial intelligence. So you can map the whole life cycle of any AI solution at the end of the day, and starting from AI development phase, and then having the right information. It's okay to
Hmm.
pass to the AI assessment stage, and then to
Hmm.
AI deployment, and then to
Hmm.
diffusing it to different sectors. I would say in that RBI's free guideline is very, very on point, because um, banking is one of the sectors
Hmm.
which is a very crucial sector, I would
Yeah.
say, because the
Hmm.
number which we will be
Hmm.
dealing with and the
Hmm.
kind of data we will be handling
Hmm.
is not only holds the characteristics of volume but also of sensitivity. So, a right framework which has been laid out by RBI do show and do work to any interested parties or any interested entities who would want to build solutions for the banking sector, for that matter, right? In the same way, healthcare sector has their own framework, which has a acronym of sahi, right? And as the word connotates, that's the
Hmm.
most rightfulness we would want for a
Yeah.
right for a
Sahi
sector of
hai.
that
Yeah.
level,
Hmm.
not of level, but of that importance to the Indian masses, because
Hmm.
healthcare has been a, a, an old backbone of the whole country, because you see the population uh, distributed across different jurisdiction of India also has to be catered with the right set of, like, healthcare amenities, and if AI
Yeah.
can, like, contribute to it with the
Yeah.
right approach, I think let's go for it, right?
Hmm. Yeah, yeah. Healthcare is the major sector to be disrupted with AI. So yeah,
Yeah.
we
So
do have. Yeah.
so these frameworks can be referred as a framework
Hmm.
which is a reference point for a
Hmm.
solution to be
Hmm.
catered to a sector. So I think that's the
Hmm.
nascent stage
Hmm.
nascent stage sandboxes we can have And different organizations have been in the process of we ourselves have been brainstorming for different sectors, for the banking and even for the agriculture and for the rural development and for the urban planning. We have been brainstorming with different frameworks for our reference point to have an idea of what kind of guardrails we have to keep in mind, and what kind of interventions we can offer to what kind of frameworks which we are referring. Are they curated in India, or do they align with the global South scenarios? So we have been taking a few firm steps in the right direction, but not as of now we can share with you as of now, right? But the approach of simulators is also in heading in that direction with respect to work at Govern AI. And we do see industries have been using this instrument of sandboxes to have a fair share of advantage to envision how AI or any other technology will unfold once deployed.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So, does India have proper use case repositories for public sector AI, or is like the India AI Mission website that you pointed out? Like, is that the one source that people can point to for like
Is it
private
the
sector and public
single
sector
truth
both?
available? Do you want to ask that? Is it the single truth?
Single truth available. Yeah, that's the right word. Thank you for guiding me.
So I would
Yeah.
say, if I have to,
Huh.
if I have to
Huh.
see the prism of truth we have for to
Hmm.
address all the
Hmm.
artificial intelligence, at the central level, the India
Hmm.
AI
Hmm.
is the gateway, and then you have different verticals of it. It's where it has the case study vertical where you can find
Hmm.
case studies. It has
Hmm.
uh, to read and to understand from a perspective of a curious reader, I would say. So they have the blogs present there, and then
Hmm.
if I'm not wrong, then we
Hmm.
have the right frameworks for the right
Hmm.
sector,
Hmm.
which are
Okay,
also
it's
linked out there,
oh,
which are
got
also
it.
linked out there. So, and
Got
then
it.
it also obviously it leads you to the respective domains and respective websites. But that's the gateway, I would say.
Yeah, makes sense. That's something similar to what is happening in the US as well. Like they also have those sector specific repositories. Like okay, for healthcare, these are the use cases that where we have deployed public sector AI. So it makes sense.
Yeah, and
So.
even
Hmm,
in just to add two bits
hmm,
more to this, even
hmm,
even at the larger AI adoption market, in other foreign jurisdictions, I would say that the most of the work which is to ensure the centralized knowledge base, incident reports, and what kind of regulation developments are happening, has been catered and done by uh, international education institutions. So you do see the academics plays a huge role in this, and they have been playing the role of a watchdog at the end of the day. So that's why we need civil societies and these academic institutions also on the table of discussions with respect to AI at large when it is at discussion.
Yeah, makes sense. And also, like to add to that, like more importantly, these use cases repositories are for AI transparency, like
Yeah.
to be as transparent to the public as possible with the citizens. And you touched upon incident reporting a bit, but I would like to dive deeper into that. Like, do we have at India clear systems for AI incident reporting, like an AI incident database and redressal mechanisms, or are they a work in progress?
So AI governance guidelines, which
Hmm.
was introduced in full fledged last November,
Hmm.
I would say they have really laid it out that the mechanisms, the incident reporting mechanism is the right approach to address to it, right? And then
Hmm.
we see as at the India AI Impact Summit, the connotation and the terminology which was used specifically was for the impact, right? Because if we see what the French has, how they have addressed with respect to artificial intelligence,
Hmm.
were giving it the right voice. And if it is the talk of the town, then how we are addressing the impact of it, right? So I would say that with respect to that, the right platform, I would say, where like even we as a civilians can report it.
Yeah.
I won't say that that is already in place,
Hmm.
but I would want to apprise that now we have
Hmm.
discussions happening at the right departments, which is the governance and economic advisory group, which is populated. Because the office of principal scientific advisor and
Hmm.
the institutional ethos of Niti Aayog
Hmm.
has really cleared, clouds
Hmm.
for us to see what
Hmm.
artificial intelligence is. Like
Hmm.
starting
Yeah. Yeah.
18, 19, like Niti Aayog has been
Mhm.
uh, up there talking about this and has been addressing, and
Yeah.
now it has been instrumental to
Hmm.
for MeTi to really take it to
Hmm.
the other level. Now we need
Hmm.
all the right stakeholders, which has been formulated, and the
Uh-huh.
information is out there, and the right people are being engaged. But obviously, at the level of like public service delivery, if we are seeing, and from the lens of any citizen or from any listener to this conversation as well, I would want to say that we would
Hmm.
speculate that if certain platforms are already there, the same way we see for with context to the certain work in cybersecurity, we would want to like AI incident reports, or like how AI guardrails are in place, or certain toolkits which are as of now in place. But if they are out there, but I would say that from my personal experience, I have uh, served for a very short time with the central ministry as well. And what I've seen is that the kind of information and the kind of solutions what the government has been offering and building, it's also about the reaching it to the right people in a manner
Hmm.
they can
Yeah.
understand.
Hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Accessibility is important.
Yeah. And I would say that there are apps
Hmm.
for different platforms
Hmm.
from different sectors. Mm,
Hmm.
I think it would be good to see something like that.
Yeah. Yeah. At least right steps are taken in that direction. So of
Yeah,
course we will sooner or later see something happening, concrete happening.
yeah.
So yeah, what is India doing differently on AI governance that feels distinctly Indian and not just the so-called Washington effect critics keep pointing to, apart from creative acronyms like sahi and other acronyms? So what is one thing that India is doing differently?
I think Washington has been uh,
Mhm.
a guiding light at the initial of like
Yes.
post-COVID times, right? When
Mhm.
artificial
Yeah.
intelligence was came into the picture, and even I worked with certain agencies in Washington at a time where we really prepared reports and assessed countries' readiness with respect
Mhm.
to artificial intelligence adoption, right? And it's one thing to put everything on an index, but we have to see every sovereignty uh, has their own journey to let the technology be like
Mm.
used for betterment of the society at large, right?
Yes. Mm.
Because technology doesn't have any boundaries at the end of the day.
Mhm.
That's simple as it is. And if we have to really cater by assessing the betterment and needs of the
Mm.
society which we will
Mm.
be serving, because it's one thing to bring a powerful tool to for the betterment or for the right reasons, but it's altogether a different ordeal to really able to contain and utilize it,
Mhm.
optimize it, and
Mhm. To
see the
bring the
results.
impact. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
AI Impact
Exactly.
Summit. Yeah.
So, and as far as the India, what
Mm.
we are doing differently. So, uh,
Mhm.
from a personal perspective, when I really started getting into this domain was when I see European Union taking for me my daily briefings with respect to what is happening in AI, because
Mhm.
after some time, like not much was happening in
Mhm.
Washington. with respect.
Yeah, with
Yeah,
respect to governance,
I mean
European Union has
they
been
said what they have
leading.
to say,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
now I would say we have to really see how we have
Hmm.
to utilize it.
The
We have
Indian
to
way.
map it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and for that, I think European
Hmm.
Union
Hmm.
has bear the brunt for it also, because they have been
Hmm.
right outly vocal about it. They
Yeah.
had the infrastructure to bring something like a
Yeah.
governance structure which is formalized, EUAI Act, right?
Hmm.
And that's not the first time the Europeans have able to address it. But how well
Hmm.
they have addressed with respect to artificial intelligence, that's a different altogether talk.
Yeah.
But I would
Yeah.
say with respect to digital
Hmm.
infrastructure,
Hmm.
they have like really sorted out with
Hmm.
respect to the
Hmm.
granular level governance structures you would need from the law perspective, from the governance perspective, from the policy perspective, right
Hmm.
engagements, right resources,
Hmm.
uh, resources beyond monetary aspects.
Hmm. Yeah.
So those are the things I would say has been um, like impression of
Hmm.
the jurisdiction up north.
Hmm.
But if India has to be addressed with respect to
Hmm.
uh, these two entities, these two
Hmm.
jurisdictions, how well they have addressed it, I would say that we have picked a very caution plus informed choice when it comes to artificial intelligence, not like jumping into the bandwagon of like
Uh,
adopting AI or governing
hmm.
AI. Same,
Hmm.
both the things.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we took our time. Yeah.
Hmm. Yeah.
And I think like uh, I don't have like I don't want to label that it comes into that it can be mapped through a research papers perspective. That okay, so this is what India now falls into. Uh, are we going to be the leader for the global south or not? Are we taking the right steps or not? Obviously, we will be the key players in the global south to set the tone
Hmm.
for the artificial intelligence governance.
Hmm. Yeah, so we have something called scale that we need to deal with.
I know.
And that I think in the near future we would be able to show it. Like, okay, at this massive scale, we can adopt AI and govern AI with the right intentions. So that would be something that would be entirely different or something unique about India. So yeah, so I know this is still evolving, but what are the most urgent gaps in India's AI governance that, from your insider perspective, needs attention right now?
Very interesting. I think first and foremost, I would say
Hmm.
making existing frameworks in India,
Hmm.
which if we map across sectors, uh, one thing which is lagging is making them instrumental,
Hmm.
and how we have to make them instrumental. So see, any industry at the end of the day,
Hmm.
few of the mentors who have been guiding light for me as well, right? Because I'm still learning and growing.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, what each and every mentor or a person or an organization which I look up to, what would be their stance with respect to this, whether it is private or public, it doesn't matter. If someone is talking sense, like let's hear them out, right? One thing which is common is how the economics will play out, because artificial intelligence is something, if you have to have under the garb of indigenous, it comes at a price, right? And a price which can be catered by a legal tender or by right engagements, by right reinforcement of right issues, right values. And for that, like I think the Office of Comptroller Auditor Journal has really played a significant role, because when economics come to the picture, obviously the competition comes into the picture, right? So when competition comes into the picture, you have to see, do we have the scale to assess a solution from the lens of public sector delivery, from the lens of like bringing an innovative solution to India's market. So those are the things, like I think like even the CAG has already laid out well in their sandbox approach through a framework. As of now, it is at a very basic level because it really put right keywords to at place. Because since when we were discussing in our first question, when we see that what kind of jargons are jargons? Now, are they jargons anymore, or are they common terms which are weak?
Colloquial.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now the CAG has put the right words into the right page. I would say as simple as that is. And I would suggest everyone can have a look at that. And they do talk about how we can assure it that AI is adopted in a safe manner, and how assurance brings the safety of reaping the fruit of like artificial intelligence solutions at the end of the day.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. So, if someone watching this wants to get involved in policy or governance or the amazing work that you have been doing and contribute to the country's
Thank
AI
you.
future, what is the best way for them to start?
I believe that when I got into the picture, it was somewhat by choice, but by the time frame, I was like banking on artificial intelligence governance through some podcasts I used to listen to uh, with this essence or with this curiosity that maybe I will be able to predict
Make a
it.
difference.
Not make it. Let's not talk about
Okay, okay.
yeah, maybe I will be able to make a difference or
Huh.
not. That's that
Hmm.
the parameter for that is
Mhm.
uh, my work is being having an impact of a certain sect of people, not all together at large, right?
Yeah.
The Indian hoi polloi.
Hmm.
But for me, if I would say, I was really going through nook and corners through organizations using the help of generative AI to really map out what the right voice is right now in 2022, 21, 23. Like these 3 years, I have really ventured into like taking notes on my diary. I'm a bit old school with respect to that.
Yeah,
Still
yeah.
carry one.
Even Sam Altman takes notes on a diary.
The difference I can see right now is that there are right courses out there. There are right platforms out there where you can learn about at free. No one
Yeah.
is charging you.
Mm.
But obviously, when economics comes into the picture, obviously, you have to get accredited at the right
Hmm.
place with the right bodies, and that's what makes all the difference. And now, if I have to say, when I started, I used to brainstorm with AI. Like you act like an AI governance prof who has been teaching for last 2 years and quiz me. I mean, Notebook LM came into the picture and it solved it for me because now you can have quiz cards and practice your jog your memory and your understanding of a topic. But apart from that, I would say now again the Europeans have done a tremendous work in this. Like now they have uh, they will be introducing. It has already been passed a AI competency uh, standard. So through that standard, you would know what are the attributes or characteristics of someone who is in the field of AI from the angle of ensuring artificial intelligence, from the angle of ensuring artificial intelligence uh, governance level, technical level, uh, implementation level, right? And apart from that, I would say when these kind of instruments comes into the picture, different bodies will adopt these parameters and build on to something. That whether it is a sandbox, whether it is a course and curriculum, whether it is roundtable discussions, whether it is further distributed materials for the public access. So now that has increased. So I would suggest that for someone who is like entering into this landscape, you pick the sector. Don't leave the sector you are already in because it doesn't make sense. You have to understand from the angle that if someone who has been working in climate change for a long, long time, they can predict with respect to AI assurance what would be the difficulties. Just putting it out there. So when artificial intelligence is being fused with their respective sector, I would say then they will be the most informed human beings in a room who give their inputs, and that's what we need at the end of the day. because humans are in the loop to save us from
Yeah.
artificial intelligence, right? So you pick your sector, pick your niche, pick your competency, wherever you're comfortable. If you're comfortable in like creatives, if you're comfortable in scientific exploration, or from the angle of like different layers of artificial intelligence, you can sense it and you can make sense through the academic knowledge you have. I would say that go in that direction instead of tapping into AI governance outrightly, because a technical person can also comes to the AI governance. It's not uh, a gem of the realm of a policy domain, right? At the end of the day, all the domains which are functional uh, to keep a civilization working, to understand what is out there, what the humans have invented, or the humans have curated or created for the betterment of the society. So all the segments of the society comes into the picture, and the interdisciplinary approach has to be applied in this. And so we need experts of artificial intelligence in each and every field, I would say.
Yeah, makes sense. So, just to sum up, like, are there any policy or governance fellowships or courses that you would recommend to our listeners
Uh,
currently?
I would say as of now, we at Govern AI, we have been doing in-person sessions and
Okay.
like few online sessions as well. But if you would want more structured, obviously we can like create it. And we have been curating for public sector officials and
Yes.
now for other sectors as well. And apart from that, one which has helped me in my journey is of Blue Dot Impact.
Okay.
It has really helped me to put certain impact, and through grounded intelligence, because their syllabus is available. Because if I remember that my fellowship with Equania Institute, where I was facilitating this course to the emerging African leaders. I had my understanding of artificial intelligence from a very academic lens, because that has been my topic of like my doctoral study, right?
Yeah.
But to put it into perspective, how impact, how stakeholders has to be engaged, and what are the key aspects to keep in mind, I think you need to like get into the domains of uh, certain understandings of the culture which we will be catering to. So we were really able to like put into picture what we had at that time syllabus with respect to AI governance, right? And then I was really in I think it was 2024, if I'm not wrong, in around July. And around that time, very recently, I would say that this course has been started by AI Safety Network of Africa. And I was like, yeah, no, I did apply to that. And the Equine Institute was the institution who was like looking after that. Mr. Leo has been one of the key figures who has made it possible at that time. And in my sessions to facilitate, we were really able to map what we will be talking to the upcoming experts of like, or like upcoming professionals of AI governance and AI safety in Africa. Uh, so Blue Dot Impact is something
It's the
accessible.
starting point,
Yeah,
right?
you can. It's accessible. It's free. You can apply for it, like, and with the right understanding of the application process. And then the Center for AI and Digital Policy. Their program, their AI policy clinics, has been one of the key flagship programs, I would say. It has produced a good amount of like officials, professionals in this ecosystem, and it's also free of cost. Yeah, so these are uh, the components I would suggest through this medium that everyone should like wrap their heads around. And now the state governments are, or like the state governments, I would say that the country at the international level, the different countries are different states have been introducing courses which are free. But at the starting point, these two are the main pillars through which you have to like get an understanding, then then put other things into perspective.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah. So thank you so much for answering all our questions patiently and accurately and to the best of your abilities. Thank you so much for
I
your
hope
time. Yeah.
my pleasure. I hope I was able to do justice to each and every
Y-
question. And to
yes.
also, otherwise, you can just obviously ask the rest of the questions, the comments once it's out there in the public domain, right? But I love the questions, the line of the questions,
Mm-hmm.
and with what rigor and intent you come for it, and I do
Huh.
appreciate and love it. Thank you
Yeah.
for having me.
Thank you so much. And let me stop the recording. Hello and welcome to On Air with Ashka. Hello.
I think there is the moment you
The
press
lag?
record, so
Huh.
tag in the. But
Okay. Okay.
we can. I'll accommodate to it.
Is it better now? Is it better now? Like,
Yeah.
hello, hello, hello. It's
Yeah.
fine,
Yeah.
right? Okay. So let's start again.